Hello everybody, Elizabeth here with Country Peony, and I'm so excited. You have joined me today for Coffee and Crafting. So this is episode 38, and today we're going to be making something that's really fun and perfect for summertime because this craft you can do with your children, with your grandchildren. We're working with polymer clay today, which is such a fun medium. I love it so much. And today we're making a very simple project that you can honestly make in less than 30 minutes. And that's why I chose today's project. So we are making some polymer clay earrings, and they are Terrazzo inspired. So they've got fun speckles on them. And they're very, very, very simple. And the beauty with them too is that they're also customizable based on whatever colors you want to use. I'm going to go with my standard pink because pink's my favorite, but you can honestly do whatever you want. And like I said, this craft is really fun because it's great. You can get your children involved, your grandchildren involved. It's a really fun summer activity that you can do in the afternoon when it's super hot outside. So today we're going to get started. I love having you here for Coffee and Crafting. I try to focus on a very simple craft because I know that y'all are all really busy and you just want something that is fun to do, that doesn't take very long, with instant gratification. I'm here for all of that. So let's get started. Okay, so for today's project, we're just going to need some polymer clay, and we're going to need some simple cutting tools. Honestly, you can find any of these at your local craft store. I've also linked all the tools below, as well as a blog post highlighting the entire process. So if you miss any steps, don't worry. You can reference the blog post below in the description. But we're going to start off with some polymer clay, and I recommend choosing 4 different colors. They can be on the same side of the color wheel, or they can be opposite sides. It's really up to you and whatever look you're going after. The colors I picked today are very similar to each other, so they're on the same side of the color wheel. But again, you can do whatever you want. Just have fun with it. That's the ultimate goal. So we're going to need some cutting tools. So I like always having a roller when I'm working with polymer clay. And then just some fun slicing tools like so. These are just plastic. I got these honestly so my kids could play with them. And I also like cutting my clay with some scissors. So this is really fun. And then to actually make the earring, you're going to use just a circle cutter. And then you need a backing for your earrings. So this is just a simple pack that I bought on Amazon that I've also linked below, and then a glue. So I love Beacon's 3-in-1 because it works on pretty much everything, and it also is very simple to clean up, and it's really great working with kids with it. Okay, so I store all of my supplies in my fun caboodle. I don't know if any of you remembered these, but this is where I store all my clay, and I also keep it in Ziploc bags just so it's airtight. But it's a really fun way to store your items. So to get started, all we're going to need is a flat surface. So I'm just using these plastic plates that I keep here in the studio. Honestly, I use these all the time. I let my kids paint their projects on these, and I use them for things like this. And so we're going to get started with, again, you're going to need 4 colors. They can be on the same side of the color wheel, or they can be opposite sides. You can have fun with it. You can kind of go a little crazy. I'm keeping it pretty standard country peony, so I'm going to do pink. And my base is going to be this incredibly vibrant pink. It almost matches my nail color. And so the base needs to be the largest section on this. So we're just going to cut off. I'm just going to start off with this size. You don't need a whole lot of clay with this project, and that's another reason I love it, because it's inexpensive. You can make a whole bunch of them, and they're really, really fun. Okay, so I just cut off just a little sliver of some clay, and we're going to start by rolling this out. So when I make earrings, I don't make them very thick. We're probably going to be about a quarter of an inch thick. And that's really all you need to work with. You can make it thicker if you want, but that affects the baking process time. It's really just up to you. So all I'm doing is I'm flattening out that clay. Very, very simple, making it very easy. Just making sure I have one even layer. Okay? So it's just nice and flat, and if you want more of a circular shape, it's okay. It doesn't really matter because you're going to end up cutting it in the end. Okay, so that's my first color, and then I'm going to take my other colors. I am so into lavender and lilac this time of the year, so I'm going to put that one aside. And then if you've got the dark pink, you've got to add in the light pink. So that'll be set aside, and then I always like to do a neutral, so I'm going to do a white here. So I'm just going to pull off a little bit of this white, and I'm just setting these aside. So this is my color palette for these earrings. But again, you can do anything. You could do purple, you could do blue, you could do yellow, green, whatever your heart desires. Okay? So, and again, if you've missed any of these steps, in the description below is a full blog post tutorial. You can check that out, and you can also always ask me any questions. I'm happy to answer any of them. Okay, so we're going to start off by taking just a knife, and we're just going to cut small slivers of this. And the beauty with this project too is why you can get your kids involved, is that it doesn't have to be perfect. So all I'm doing is I'm just cutting thin lines of this clay, and then I'm just cutting them into small, tiny pieces, okay? So super small pieces. This is all I'm doing. You see the purple down here? I'm just cutting it into tiny pieces. They can even be smaller than that. So this is where the terrazzo effect comes into play. So we're just cutting small pieces of this clay, and again, you don't need a whole lot. You don't have to go crazy. Okay, I'm going to set that one aside, and now I'm going to do my pink. And again, we're just doing one sliver, and then we're going to cut that into tiny little pieces. So I'm turning these into earrings, but you could honestly make magnets for your fridge or your for anything. And you can also turn this into like a fun keychain. That would be really cute. If your children are making this, or your grandchildren, and they don't have their ears pierced, you can make a necklace. I mean, you could just have so much fun with this. So here I'm just, again, cutting tiny pieces of this clay, and it doesn't matter how perfect they look. That honestly adds to the beauty and the texture of the final piece. If they're a little uneven, no worries. Okay, so I'm just cutting just tiny little pieces, and I'll show you. So these pieces are teeny tiny. As you can see, it's almost like the size of rice grains, or you can make them a little bit bigger, just really small. That's what we're after. And then I'm going to set that one aside. And if you don't have a plate, you can use a cutting board, just making sure it's a clean space, something that this clay will not stick to, okay? So I'm just cutting these pieces super tiny, and I don't know, I'm cutting, for this size, I'm only going to make two, or a pair of earrings, so two. I'm not doing that many. I may be cutting like 10 different pieces for this. But if you're making like a whole bunch of earrings, that could be really fun too. You could do a batching process, or you could do a whole strip of clay and then just make this terrazzo effect. If you're making a whole bunch of earrings for friends, or if you want to sell them, this could be a really fun project for your kids for summer. They could earn a little extra money. That could be really fun at their local craft market or farmer's market, or as part of their lemonade stand this summer. Okay, so I think I got all my pieces cut. You see, that's very simple, very fun. It did not take me long at all. So now here is the really fun process of turning these pieces together to make a fun terrazzo effect. So all we're going to do is we're going to take this original piece, and we're just going to carefully attach these pieces next to one another. Okay, as you can see, we're going to add that purple. And again, you don't have to be exact with where you're placing it, just have fun. You see? So just 3 little pieces like that makes it very simple, very, very easy. And then you're going to keep doing that, just putting them together in clusters. I like to put them, the sections closer together since these are going on a small earring. I'm not working with a whole lot of surface area. But for instance, if you're making like a bigger magnet, you can make them farther apart. You see they're pretty close. And I'll just keep dabbing them on clustered together. And I chose 3 different colors because I I like that effect, but if you want to do more than 3, you certainly can. Again, just making sure that you keep the same colors together. And I'm also just kind of carefully placing them in here. This is the really fun process. So you see, they're all kind of clustered together. So I'm going to do a couple more and just envisioning where I think my earrings are going to hit. And you're going to eventually roll these out, so these are going to meld really nicely together. They're going to come together. It's going to be really beautiful. Again, so don't stress out too much about how it's looking right now because it's going to be beautiful. So beautiful. Okay, and let's see. I'm going to do 2 more just so you can see. Thank you so much. You are so sweet. It's so good to see you. Yes, this dress is another Shop Style Your Senses, which is my favorite company to buy dresses from, or to buy all clothes from, but that's so sweet. Okay, so we're almost there. You see, and a little piece just fell off, but that's okay. I've just clustered them together, and now I'm just going to see if I'm going to do a couple more because I want to make sure that I have enough of the surface area here. Okay, we're going to do a couple more, and then we're going to flatten it out, and it's going to be such a fun process. So you can see that? Okay, they're all on there now. And so now all we're going to do is we're going to roll it out, and it's going to be one even layer, and that's where you're going to get that beautiful terrazzo effect. And this one is not bedazzling, but thank you, Joe, for popping on by. You know I love a bedazzled whatever. But you could add gems to this when you're done. Okay, so all I'm going to do now is I'm just going to roll it out carefully. And you go slow with this because I want to show y'all. This is so cool. So you're just going to slowly roll it back and forth until it kind of, again, goes together. Look how cool that is. I love this part. Okay, and then once it's in there a little bit, you're going to roll back and forth. I call this terrazzo, but this could also be a really fun leopard effect if you want it to. Look how cool that is. Okay, look. Isn't that the coolest thing ever? I think that's so neat. Okay, so believe it or not, we're almost done. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to take an imprint that's really pretty. This is a pretty section. So I'm just going to take this section, I'm going to push down on it, and then I always like to wiggle it back and forth, and then carefully, very carefully, push it out so that you don't have... And then you can clean it up from here. And if you want, you can kind of use your fingers to make the end of it. Look at that. Isn't that so cute? I think that's adorable. So this is the first one. And then you're going to set it aside. And then you're going to do the other one. Since I said I'm only doing a pair, I'm only going to do 2, but you could easily do a long line of them and just punch out a whole bunch of them and then put them in the oven, ready to go. Again, this could be a really fun project for your kids this summer. They could even sell them at their lemonade stand, at their local farmer's market, whatever, and you can use whatever colors that you want. But, so now I'm just cleaning up the edges a little bit. I'm taking my finger and just kind of rubbing the sides. If you want, you can get a little bit of water, and that kind of evens it out a bit too. But I don't want to touch it too much because then your fingerprints start showing on there. But look how cute they are. Oh my goodness. Okay, so all you're going to do now is you're going to bake these. So this is a baking polymer clay. And each of your polymer clays, depending upon what brand you use, has their own specific baking requirements. So I personally love Sculpey. It's one of my favorites. It's readily available. I've also linked some below if you want to check those out. But this one requires you to bake it into the oven for, I believe, every 1/4 inch. That's why I went with the 1/4 inch. 275 degrees for 15 minutes per 1/4 inch. So I would just put this in the oven at 275 for 15 minutes. I say I would put this in the oven. So at first I would put it on parchment paper. I always like to use parchment paper and put it on the parchment paper and then bake it in the oven for 275 for 15 minutes, since these are 1/4 inch thickness. Now, if you're making thicker ones, you're gonna have to assess that. You have to have it on there a little bit longer. But I do that, bake it in the oven for 15 minutes, and then let it cool. And then it's completely up to you. You could add Mod Podge to it. That will give it a fun, glossy look. I personally, with these specific earrings, I like a matte. I think they're really cool. That's the way that I did it on my blog post. And honestly, they will still hold up really, really well. And if you also want to try, so this is a bake and bond. This is a bakeable adhesive. And this is also a glossy adhesive for Sculpey. They have a gloss glaze if you want to put that on before you put it in the oven. It's totally up to you. So your options are just to bake it. It'll stay nice and matte. It'll be beautiful. You can also bake it and add Mod Podge after. That'll give it a really fun, shiny look. And I'm sure you have Mod Podge in your crafting closet somewhere. Or the last option is, this is a gloss glaze. You can apply this before you bake it. And it's just really up to you. Personally, I'll just bake it and then you're ready to turn it into earrings. So the next and final step is to take your earring backs. So I got these from Amazon, very simple, very easy. All you're gonna do, they've got a nice flat head on them, is you take a crafting glue. So I personally love Beacon's 3-in-1. It's a great multi-purpose glue. And all you're gonna do is you're gonna literally attach it to the back and then turn it into a beautiful earring. The only thing I do recommend is when you're attaching it is don't put it right in the middle of the back. You're going to put it kind of at the top third right here, so that when you put it on your earring, it kind of sits higher like so. It doesn't, so your earring isn't way up there, if that makes sense. So I would put it like at the top third of your earring back. And then you can call it a day and enjoy your beautiful earrings. They're so, so cute. Very, very simple. Very, very fun. And look, we are less than 20 minutes in and you've made some beautiful earrings for summer. And I cannot wait to see your earrings. I know you're going to pick the most beautiful colors for your color palette. I could see this being a really fun Christmas present. You could do Christmas colors. You could also just think of your recipient's favorite colors, and it makes it really fun and simple. And we used very little clay. This is a very inexpensive project, and it's also a very, very simple one. So I hope you feel inspired to make your own earrings. I did want to mention one more thing. If you're not making earrings, if you want to turn this into a keychain, you can use a bigger ring, and before you bake it, you just poke a hole through the top for your keychain ring. And that will allow you to also turn it into a fun keychain. So thank you so much for following today. Again, if you've missed any of the details today, they're in the description below, my blog post, along with all of the supplies that I used today. And I thank you so much for following along today. I hope you feel inspired to make something fun this week. I will see you soon, and y'all have a great rest of your day. Thank you, guys.